So speaking of all things trade, next week the US Studies Centre at Sydney University will host a conference looking at that 10th anniversary FTA between Australia and the US. So here to discuss that, the TPP, lots of initials, and the relationship now is the CEO of the US Studies Centre at Sydney Uni, Bates Gill, at our Sydney CBD studio. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Firstly, I want to just ask, you've got this conference coming up for the 10th anniversary. I just want to put that in context with the TPP we're hearing about now. Is the TPP the post 10 years on the next stage of the trade relationship?
Well, the TPP is obviously far bigger than the bilateral one that we've had going on now for 10 years. With Australia, the event we're going to have next week on July 2nd, teaming up with AmCham, we'll look back. We'll have some of the big figures who were involved in that, including former Prime Minister Howard and Bob Zoellick, coming from the United States, former U.S. Trade Representative and President of the World Bank. But it's really going to be a look ahead. And as you noted in your preface, the future is multilateral trade relationships. And the TPP and the breakthroughs we've seen in the U.S. Senate in this past week, I think, are great signals that we're going to have an even better future in this region by generating the kind of economic dynamism that we can all hope to see.
Just bring us up to date. There was a crucial vote overnight because it's been up and down on Congress. The Republicans are siding with President Obama. The Democrats are fighting. It passed the Senate finally last night, the House last week, I think, and there's going to be another vote overnight. But obviously everybody's confident it will go through now.
Yeah, a lot of procedural issues going on and a lot of, I guess, parliamentary or legislative gamesmanship happening. There was an attempt, brief as it was, by, I would say, the far left of the Democratic Party, as well as some die-hard opponents of President Obama in the Republican Party, to prevent this from going forward. That effort failed, although stalled the process briefly. The vote we had about, 12 or 15 hours ago in the Senate was actually simply to bring closure to debate. In other words, there would be no filibustering, there would be no endless talking and trying to prevent or stall a vote. So that vote came through to stop the debate. That means in about 12 hours' time there will be a final vote for passage, and only 51 votes, a simple majority, are needed. Many expect that by Wednesday night, Washington time, the bill will be on the President's desk for signature.
Excellent. So why is it important? What's it mean for us? Without preempting your conference, why should Australians be pleased that this is going through?
There are so many levels to talk about, and we don't have a lot of time. But I think certainly at the economic level, most importantly, I think, is that we can expect through these free trade agreements to help generate prosperity in what is already one of the most dynamic regions for the world, and certainly for the future, right here in the Asia Pacific, where the 12 members of this grouping, the TPP, representing some 40% of global GDP, can put in place rules of the road that can assure fair trade, freer flows of people, investment, technology, capital going forward. And that's especially important for economies like Australia or the United States. We thrive in environments where we have greater certainty, higher standards on things like environmental protections and labor protections. We're going to do better in that sort of an environment, and that's what we can expect out of the TPP on the economic front, making actually it easier for businesses to do well, to create value and provide jobs, both here and of course abroad, to help generate prosperity. It also has a security dimension, which you sort of mentioned. I think what's important here is we're setting out rules of the road and generating closer, more binding economic relationships, yes, but that also has a strategic dimension by helping shape what the future of this region is going to look like. And down the road, if, as I expect and would hope, China can get into the TPP in some years ahead, that's simply going to bind China even more deeply into a set of rules and procedures which countries like Australia and the United States are leading.
Okay, what do you say to the critics, those that came out on the 10th anniversary of the US-Australia deal, saying actually the benefits were not nearly as great as people made out, and you would have got benefits anyway because trade between the two nations grew anyway, and the Productivity Commission today saying actually they were really quite damning, saying that they shouldn't be called free trade agreements, preferential treatments for foreign investors?
Well, you know, the issue on trade may have some merit. You can't say that trade would have been even worse or even better without the trade agreement. I think clearly it did foster and help generate greater trust and awareness and understanding between the two countries, a willingness to work together. I think trade certainly did benefit from the agreement. More importantly, investment is where we really saw some significant growth, bilateral investment between the United States and Australia. American investment in Australia, yes, it generates profits for American firms, but it generates jobs for Australians as well. So, you know, I think there's a lot more to these bilateral agreements than many people are willing to acknowledge. And, you know, most importantly, it provides a sort of certainty, a greater degree of fairness, and it does offer long-term prosperity between the two countries, all the more so if we can multilateralize these sorts of agreements.
So were you a bit surprised by the Productivity Commission being so negative, or is that those kind of reports, it is the Productivity Commission, are they a bit harmful for the politics of it at the moment?
In all honesty, I have not seen the full report. I've heard some reporting, of course, in the media about it. On surface, it strikes me as a little strange, simply because typically productivity is enhanced when there is greater competition generated through these sorts of opportunities.
No doubt you'll be talking about that at the conference next week, and we look forward to talking to you again, because even though, as you say, that vote's gone through, it's still got a way to go, hasn't it? Well,
the treaty itself has to be finally negotiated and brought forward. We can hope before the end of the year that that'll be in place.
Okay, well, we'll talk to you then at the next time it gets forward. Thank you, Bates Gill.
Thank you.
That's